Welcome to the world of advertising. There's agencies galore, all with promises of grandeur and guaranteed customer rapport. This is an in-depth look into DDB to help differentiate and explain what it takes to create memorable engagement and give an agency fame. Formed by 3 in Manhattan in the 40s, now is some of the biggest clients worldwide, with 100 offices in 96 countries and 12,500 staff inside. How, you ask? Just one man, Bill Bernbach to be precise, who began a revolution by daring to roll the dice. But to understand this man, we must first understand the times. It was post-war 1950s, and the US had left behind the memories of war and a decade of depression, and now focused its attention on building a consumption obsession. Buying product after product, whatever big business wanted them to try, it was a corporation's voice telling baby boomers what to think, how to live, and what to buy. From all the products and the sales and the brands and ad pollution came an emerging movement to disempower big business through revolution. So enter Billy Bernbach with the creative, rebellious mind to question the status quo and test the boundaries, blur the lines with a remedy to mediocrity, a creative weaponry. There's 3 parts to revolution, so listen closely to the recipe. Number 1, introduce a philosophy that runs counter to established views. This presents risk and generates excitement, especially amongst the youths. Number 2, present a visionary's view of the way things ought to be. This will win over more converts, which leads on to number 3. The most difficult of the steps to bake the cake of revolution. Lead by setting a successful example, and you'll destroy the institution. So enter a new philosophy in correspondence Bernbach made as early as 1947 of how he thought the game should be played. Rebel against the hyperbolic, overheated approach to selling products, and in your work, cleverly present reproach. Take the power from big business with honesty and humour. Criticize their culture and present ads from the perspective of the consumer. The philosophy was set, and now to present the visionary's view, DDB's first client and investor Orbach gave Bill the freedom to break through. Instead of lecturing and irritating the consumer through repetition till their ears bled and they'd hard-sold the viewer into submission, he won people over with humanity, with truth and good humour, a tragically honest story that would engage most every viewer. In preference to advertising the product or even the brand, he chose the consumer, depicted as a humorous character they'd understand, and with self-deprecating courage poked fun at Orbach's weakness, that as a budget clothing store, they were someone's dirty secret. Now this was one of the first examples of Bernbach's idea becoming reality, that every ad, like every product, should have a distinct, honest personality. He always said word of mouth is the best medium to get your message out, so using the consumer's language created something they'd talk about. And then along came that third ingredient, exposure, destined to unplug the power to the corporations with the Think Small VW bug. When auto advertising at the time tried to trick the consumer into buying with distorted cartoon imagery, large cars, and outright lying, the Beetle was disarmingly lovable, a scrappy underdog that dared to take on the establishment and be a lemon in the fog and all the haze and all the lies of big machines, and be truthful with human qualities and as reliable as refried beans. It recognised that the reader was part of the process and didn't hide that it was there to sell, so without undermining the purpose, persuasion made the ad as entertaining as hell. It characterised ownership of a Beetle as a statement of practicality and common sense, showed you didn't need to show off your car, humanised it as dependable and condensed. It redefined the print space with white space that made it pop, and heading and copy at the bottom where it had previously been at the top. They took the negatives and flipped them, put it on TV, which at the time seemed mad, and made the bug, the Beetle, famous in the world's most honest ad. The most famous ad of the 20th century that stood the test of time. It was as creative and memorable as presenting an assessment, entirely in rhyme. This most successful example, which is of course ingredient number 3, and catapulted DDB's billings from 25 to 270 mil annually. In the 1960s, 6th largest in the US, and 7th in the world, with many others following his success by copying the Bernbach style. And while it mightn't have been his endeavour, his creative revolution would change advertising forever. Some will say it wasn't all Bernbach that made the DDB fame. Helmut Krohn and Julian Koenig are credited with the Think Small and Lemon campaign. But what Bernbach did was create a culture, a creative environment, where for the first time copywriters and artists worked together to comfortably present their work without limitation, without the shackles of institution. He built the creative process for DDB and led them to revolution. He believed persuasion was art, not science, proclaimed that talent can't be taught, searched for insight into human nature, and refused to be bought or compromised by the objectives of commercialization. He maintained creative license in his advertisements communication. You see, Bernbach was not just another ad man, though his ads showed unsurpassable clever. He'd passed the baton to the consumer and changed the game forever. So this is what it takes, why DDB is such a famous institution, but it all started with one man's vision, for creative revolution.